Hi, everybody. This is Angelo Quinones and you reach Zion Ministries. Zion Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. And I hope the background noise doesn't bother you too much. I mean, I relocated from the United States of America to the Philippines about a couple of years ago. So, there's a lot of noise sometimes outside, kids playing basketball, stuff like that, little creatures, and then if that's not bad enough, I have a fan on because it's very hot here in the Philippines, but not really too much today. It's just kind of like a sort of like a fall, sort of feel to today. If that makes any sense. Now, you may be wondering, what is this? Well, I couldn't find something like this or similar to this. Really, I think that's the same thing, right? Okay. On YouTube, anywhere. I even Googled the Theos paradigm and I couldn't find it. Okay. It's probably out there, but I couldn't find it. I mean, I tried to to actually search for a video on YouTube, for example, that had to do with the Theos paradigm, all the different constructions of the word God in Greek, okay, from Theos all the way through Theus. I tried to find it, but I couldn't do it, okay, and so I had to type it up myself, okay. As I poke the bear over here, I mean, I have a note taker, right, and let me see if I could just exit this so I can show you on my phone. I have a note taker, okay, and this is a sermon that I'm writing that I didn't finish, especially for the JWs. This is so sort of a combat JW. I have that's my note taker right there, and so I had to do it myself. Okay, so I hope you like it. Next time maybe I could write some numbers attached to them, like in the left hand side, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So if you're a beginner in Greek, so you can know exactly 100%, absolutely, totally where I'm at. That's my worry. That's my concern. So I can make some changes in the future, and I mean I can't do them now. Um, but it's gonna take a little bit of time, to actually do that, to write one and all of that. So I'll try to do that in the future, okay? But let's get at it. Now, again, this paradigm, the word paradigm means a model or example. It has other meanings as well, but you're giving a model or an example of something. Now, when you're talking about Greek paradigms, you're talking about a word, you know, uh, either a verb, right, or the different constructions of that verb, okay, in a particular tense, or you're looking at the noun and the different constructions for that, okay, the different constructions for the word theos, which inflects, which it changes according to the function in the text, okay. So, I mean, why is theon different from theos? Why is theu different from, theon? Why is theo different from theu? Okay, and you could just go all the way around. Okay, why is theoi different from theos? Much different. Has a different meaning. When you go into the plural, okay, part of the paradigm, now you're talking about a different meaning. You're no longer talking about, okay, one God, okay, but you're talking about gods. Now, the thing that I want to say is that and it has to do, okay, with the form of the word. The root of theos, and let me even go before the root. Theta, which nowadays is called theta, which is the first letter, okay, in the Greek word for God, okay, theos, or if you want to call it theos, go right ahead. There is a danger mixing the pronunciation because when you go to theon in the accusative singular, well, if you're going to make it theon, well, that sounds like a genitive plural. That's the danger of really being too dogmatic about the way Greek is pronounced nowadays and trying to push it into the biblical scheme of things. Okay? So, just if you just pronounce and you're not being consistent, if you just pronounce the Omicron as Omicron, well, you're going to change, in some instances, meanings of words, okay? Or you're going to have a completely different word. A completely different word. Maybe even a completely different tense, okay? You can even have articles sounding, okay, all right, like participles, and you're just going to have chaos. So you have to be consistent. You're either going to be talking about biblical Greek, which is known as the American style of pronunciation, or traditional pronunciation, classical, or you're going to have modern Greek, which is, which really basically they have changed, okay, the sounds of several vowels, okay, even consonants of what we know, okay? So it's very important to be consistent. That's one thing that I'm very concerned about, is consistency, okay? But I was getting into the nitty-gritty of the letter, I should say, theta, okay, which actually is the first letter in the Greek word theos or theos. And in and of itself, it means divine. Okay, the theta nowadays is called theta. Like I said before, okay, you pronounce Greek differently nowadays. Okay, you pronounce some of the letters differently. Some of the names of the letters differently. Okay. Okay. For example, the Greek M, mu, sometimes called mu, actually is pronounced the same, M like in mother, but the thing is that the name is different. Instead of it being called a mu or a mu, it's called me. The same thing with the N in Greek. Okay, it used to be called nu, but now it's called ni. So, that doesn't change anything. But letters like beta, nowadays called vita, well, that's different sometimes, because now you're introducing another sound to the letter, which is a V, which wasn't like that before. Okay? Now the T is still the same. And the T is still the same, but the name of the T, tau, is called tough nowadays. So just the name is different. So sometimes just the names are different, but sometimes the sounds of the letters could be different. Okay? Sometimes the letters have not changed, like sigma. That's still called sigma today. Okay? Alpha is still called alpha today. Okay? And there's other letters that like kappa, that's the same. Okay? Lambda, that's the same, which is the L in Greek. Okay? Kappa is the K in Greek. Okay? The chi, that's still a chi. But even though some people pronounce it, okay, ki, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's basically in the psi, that's the same. The omega, that's the same. The p, that's the same. Okay? Ro, that's the same. Even though some people can't pronounce it like that, but that's basically the same. So there are some letters that are the same. But in and of itself, the first letter in the Greek word theos means divine. It doesn't mean that, just because you see that letter, that's a divine person that someone is talking about. You have to look at the context, okay? And also, as I get into, as I get into 2 Corinthians rather, okay, and see if I could get to the first part of my, which is over here, and let me get this one here, Greek interlinear, okay, so you can follow along. When you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, okay, that's called that kind of a God is called the God of this age, but it has a genitive attached to it. I'm going to explain what the genitive case is when I get to the genitive case use of theos, which is theou, okay? So let me see if I can get to 1 Corinthians, or 2 Corinthians. I keep on saying 1 Corinthians. And 2 Corinthians is right here. That's Corinthians beta. And then I want to go to chapter 4. Okay, it's poke the bear here. Okay, poke the bear. And basically, it's not verse 1, but I can easily scroll. Go like this: 1, 2, 3, and I'll be right there. It says over here, in whom, okay, hois, in whom and that's ha, or nowadays called o, God. The God, that's a small g God, and it has the article right there. But the context is telling you that's a limited God. So it's not the God of Yisrael, but it's the God of this world, Satan, okay? It says, en hois hatheas, okay, to ionas, and I just want to stop there. And the reason why this is a limited God is because there's a genitive attached to it. There's no such thing, okay, when the Bible talks about, okay, Jesus Christ, our Lord. There's no genitive attached to him. Okay, there is no limiting case, limiting construction that's attached to our beloved Lord, Savior, Master, and King. Satan is a God because of the genitive use here. Okay, let me just cancel that though. Okay, I just want to let you know that it says over here, okay, all right, of the, and that's the article tu. Nowadays pronounced differently. And then age, of the age, and age is ionas, okay. So he's the God of this age. You see, it doesn't say he's the God, and it leaves it right there. No, he's the God of this age. He's a limited God. Okay, all right, a limited God. Just like those false gods, that was the God of the Nile, the God of the sun, or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just it. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to use this, okay? But basically, that construction, hatheos, or just theos there, is actually found in our paradigm, okay? Now, when you're talking about Jesus, well, then I'm going to be sending you or showing you, okay, another thing. And let me see if I could just go right back to the paradigm. So anyway, let me just repeat again that the first letter in the Greek word theos or theos, theta, nowadays called theta, actually means divine in and of itself. But this is the thing, though. The meaning of the word, right, is contained in the root of the word. Okay, in the root of the word. All right. And I like to separate them. The root of the noun, or the stem, okay, all right, of the verb. Okay? You understand what I mean? So that's just it. So, you have the root of the noun, which is thea, just Theo, or theta epsilon omicron, nowadays called omicron. Just that's the root. Okay? That's the root. So I'm going to mention, and this is very, very important because that contains the meaning of the word. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So what the Greeks did, they came up with a nice thing to put, okay, as an appendix, or as a suffix. Okay, they added a letter, okay, to the root, thus changing the case. Okay, changing the form of the word, and that's just it. Excuse me, I have sort of like a cold. Now, let me just read all of these. And I came up with 9 different constructions off the top of my head, okay? And there is a paradigm for goddess. 2 different constructions, theon with an alpha. It sounds like theon, the accusative masculine singular, when you just talking about it, theon, but it's actually in the feminine, theta epsilon alpha nu. Okay, that's found and recorded in Praxis Apostolorum, Acts of the Apostles, chapter 19, I believe, right? And so there's also another construction, thea. So there is a paradigm for the word goddess. Okay, just want to let you know. All right, now, so there's 9 different constructions. 5, I put 5 in the singular and 4 in the plural. Okay? You understand? That's what I did. Well, here we go. From the singular part of the paradigm we have, and I'm just going to say these, as quick as I can. Okay? Theos, theu, the, theo, theon, and those are all the singular constructions. And then the plural constructions go something like this: theoi, theon, which doesn't appear in the New Testament, theon, and then theois and theus, which appear, I believe, in chapter 10 of John, which Mormons like to use, and Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. So again, the different constructions are as follows: theos, theu, the, theo. Now I'm gonna get into sort of the reason why I just couldn't type out, okay, the iota subscript, which is very important though. Okay, it's a little tiny I that will be written underneath the omega, which I couldn't do. Okay, I couldn't do it, and let me see if I could get there. Okay, so I could show you actually there. Okay, I mean, let's just go anywhere, right? Okay, after it. I mean, if you poke the bear and change it to Greek, I don't see any iota subscript letter with a letter here. Okay, I see diaeresis. I see that. I see soft breathing, maybe rough breathing, but I don't see any iota subscript. That's a shame. I just couldn't see it. Now, maybe there's a way to do it that I don't know about. Could that be possible? I don't know. I don't know if that's possible, but I don't see it here at all, anywhere, as a matter of fact, okay? So I'm just letting you know that I haven't seen it. Now I'm way out, okay? I don't really need to write anything anyway. So let me see if it goes back to English by itself. It doesn't. Let's stay in Greek just in case I will need it, though, okay? Excuse me, guys. So you have a singular part of the paradigm, the plural part of the paradigm. The singular part of the paradigm is talking about one God, okay? One God, okay? Whatever that God is talking about one God. The plural part of the paradigm, okay, is talking about at least 2 gods, maybe even more, okay, according to the context. You know what I mean? Now, the reason why the Greek Septuagint, and let me get into the Greek word theos. So before I do, let me just say these with the cases, okay? Theos in the nominative, theu in the genitive, the in the vocative or vocative. Okay, theo in the dative, theon in the accusative, and I'll explain all of these cases, okay? And then that was in the singular part of the paradigm, and the plural part of the paradigm goes something like this: theoi in the nominative, theon in the genitive. Again, that doesn't appear in the Greek New Testament. Theois in the dative, and theus in the accusative case construction. Okay. Now we're gonna look in we're gonna look from the Greek Septuagint and the Greek New Testament, the Greek Septuagint. Okay, first of all, Septuagint comes from the word Septuagint comes from the Latin word Septuaginta, which means 70. Okay, is also known or designated as LXX, the Greek translation of the Jewish scriptures. So we're going to look at examples for each of these cases. Okay, again, before I get there, okay, I want to mention the meaning of these cases. What's the meaning of them? Nominative, genitive, we all hear them. We all see them in books and stuff like that, right? And we all check out, Bible teachers on YouTube, and they say this is an dative case, and this is an accusative case, and this is but they don't even mention some of them anyway. They don't even mention, okay, all right, what does the case mean? One or two things they just don't know. They just looked at it and they say vines or something like that, or mounts, and they just they're just echoing what they see. Okay, or if they know it, well, I don't know why they don't teach it. Okay, so let's check it out here. The nominative case has to do with designation. Okay. And each of these cases, except for the vocative, has several uses under the umbrella of the name of the case. Okay, for example, the nominative case may have at least 5 different uses. Okay, predicate nominative, the nominative of appellation, and the nominative of the subject nominative. Okay, we'll check those out. The subject nominative. And so the nominative case has to do with designation, okay, that, and you have to be careful with this, but one of the meanings, like the subject nominative, means that if you want God to be the subject of the sentence, well, you're going to put it in the nominative case. So the spelling is going to be theta, epsilon, omicron, nowadays called omicron, and then final sigma, which is a special S, okay, that goes only toward the end of a Greek word. Okay, so there's 4 different forms, okay, of the S in Greek, and I say 4 because the manuscripts has a different sigma than we see nowadays. Okay, it has a C-looking S. Okay. According to manuscripts like Sinaiticus or Sinaiticus or Sinaiticus, I don't care how you pronounce that manuscript, also known as manuscript 01, also known as manuscript Aleph, okay, and Vaticanus or Vaticanus, has that also, okay. That form of the sigma that's completely different from the form that you see in your Greek New Testaments today. Okay, so and we'll get into the nominative case and their different uses. When we talk about John 1:1, we're going to see another use of the nominative. Okay, under the umbrella of the nominative case. Okay, the different uses. Now, theou is in a genitive case, and a genitive case has to do with description, definition, or attribution. It's a limiting case, but as to kind, like what kind of a God. Okay, this is. Okay. All right. Or you would say, like for example, the children of God. Well, you're gonna, what kind of children? Well, actually, you're describing what kind of children. Okay, you're talking about. Okay, techna. You're talking about the children of God, not the children of the devil, okay? The children of God, okay? And I believe that's recorded, perhaps, okay, in Galatians chapter 3, around verse 26. We're going to check that out, okay? Right. Now, so it's a descriptive case. It's a limiting case. There's another limiting case, okay, called the accusative case, but that has to do with extent. The extent of the hearing, okay? Not that they didn't hear the voice, but they didn't understand the voice, okay? And you see that in the Acts of the Apostles, Praxis Apostolon, Acts chapter 22, verse 9. Okay? All right, let's continue. The vocative case, the, well, I want to add this, though, that the and theos, okay, we know that the is vocative, meaning when somebody is talking to God, the mu, my God, said the Son of God, okay, on the cross, he used the. Okay, whether he used it in Mark or Matthew, we'll check that out. Okay, if not in this study, in another study. And theos can be vocative. Actually, okay, ha theos is vocative or vocative in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8 and Hebrews chapter 10 verse 7. Jehovah's Witnesses say, "Oh God." Incidentally, okay, the Father calls Jesus his Son, okay, God in verse 8, the God, and he uses special definiteness, uses the ha there, showing special definiteness. Okay, the inflectional particle, that's a special force. We'll check that out, found and recorded in 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 20. But we'll check that out. But it's using a special definiteness there. And he calls him Jehovah actually in verse 10. But we'll get into that in the future. Okay, of Hebrews chapter 1 actually, Incidentally, verse 9, Jehovah's Witnesses like to use that and not verses 8 and 10. And in it, in verse 9, they say, well, he has a God, so how can it be God? Well, according to Zechariah, and I'll just mention this for free, guys, okay? According to Zechariah, the prophet, okay? Prophet of God, as recorded in chapter 1. And let's just poke the bear here. Zechariah chapter 3 verse 8, I believe, right? Chapter 3 verse 8. We see why Jesus has a God. It's a very simple answer. Now, before I get there, I want to say that we have a God, meaning us creatures. We have a God, okay, just mankind. We have a God according to at least 5 different things. Okay? Election, creation, salvation, and adoption. But the 5th is quite different. Okay? Because that has to do also with Jesus. Okay? The 5th one. 1 through 4 has nothing to do with Jesus at all. Okay? But number 5 does. And we'll check it out. Okay? Okay? So I'm just talking about verse 9. So, So, let's check it out. Verse 8 says something like this. Okay? It says over here, now listen, okay, Joshua, the high priest, okay, you and your friends who are sitting in front of you, indeed, okay, they are men who are a symbol for, behold, I am going to bring in my servant, the branch. Okay? The branch. That's how Jesus has a God. He is the servant of God. I know he's the Son of God. I understand that. But the reason why it says 4 times in the book of Revelation chapter 3, okay, tu theu mu, my God, is because he serves God. My servant, the branch. Okay, so that's what we have in common, us and the Son of God, that we are the servants of God. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? I come to do thy will, thy will, O God. See what I mean? took upon himself an additional nature, which I call nature 2 or nature B. He became a doulos, actually doulou there in genitive. Okay, took himself upon himself an additional nature. Okay, Marphane doulou, the form of a slave. Okay, so anyway, let's get back though. All right, so anyway, the nominative case has to do with designation. The genitive case has to do with description. The vocative case has to do with direct address when someone is talking to another, okay, or a thing, actually. And the dative case has to do with interest, okay, and we're going to see an example of that. And then the accusative case has to do with limitation. Okay, limitation as to extent. And especially the genitive, there are a lot of uses of the genitive case. Okay. So some of these cases have many uses, like the genitive of description, the genitive of relationship, the genitive of the partitive genitive, the genitive of time. I mean, the genitive, I think, is the most richest of all the cases because it has many uses. I think more than any other case. Okay. All right. Now, so let's go and give an example. Okay, all right, and I'm running out of power, so I can't do that right now. But let me just give one example, though, and hopefully I can do it. Let's quickly hurry to the Greek Septuagint, a copy of it anyway, hupadegma, right? A copy, hupadegma. Incidentally, the Greek word for copy doesn't appear anywhere for Jesus being a copy of God, okay? That doesn't exist. You tell the witnesses it's found 6 times in the Greek New Testament. Nowhere does it say that Jesus is a copy of God. That doesn't exist. Okay? It doesn't. So let's go to verse 1. And it says over here, Energe epoiesen or epoiesen hate as tan uranan kai, or ke nowadays, kai tain gain. Well, what's the subject of the sentence here? Well, theos is the one who did something, okay? Theos, and it's over here, is hatheos. He actually created the heaven. It says over here, tan uranan. I don't know why it's, not tus uranus, but anyway, that's a wrong translation. The Hebrew is actually in the plural. The reduplicating consonant, sheen, is there actually in the word for heaven, okay? And so, in one earth, okay, gain, right, from ge, right? So, who's the subject of the sentence? Who performed the act of actually, creating these things? Well, God. So that's why it's theos, because theos is the subject of the sentence. But you have to be careful, because theos, and we're going to see that in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8, okay, can be vocative. It can mean "oh God." Hatheos can mean "oh God," but you have to look at the context. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory to the God of Israel. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living, and it means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are still alive right now, and it also means, okay, that Joseph Franklin Rutherford was a punk, okay, who lied to his people, who said that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were going to return, and they never did. Incidentally, there were 2 cars at Betsarim. Why not 3? I guess Abraham couldn't drive, right? According to Rutherford. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now. Please subscribe to my channel, and please give me a thumbs up, and give me a comment. Leave a comment on the screen. But I better go. Take care. Bye. This is part 1 of the Theos paradigm. Thank you.